Good evening, everybody. I want to welcome you to In the Trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics. What a game. We're in First Star Logistics' beautiful studios. Like always, we're talking Bengals, 41-21 victory over the Baltimore Ravens. The Bengals now 4-1 in the division. 3 of the 4 wins, they scored 41 points. Both times against the Baltimore Ravens, they hung 41 points on the board. And against the Pittsburgh Steelers in one of the victories, they hung 41 on the board. They've swept the Ravens. They've swept the Steelers. Wow. 4-1 in the division. How about that, Dave Berk? My man, Dave Berk. We don't have a podcast or a video cast without my man, Dave Berk.
Thank you.
I'll tell you what. They Joe Burrow put on a show. I mean, this kid always talk about his mind for the game of football. Wink Martindale was trying to play cat and mouse with Joe Burrow. Wink ended up the mouse, and Joe Burrow was the cat feasting on that mouse. I can tell you that right now. He put 7 at the line of scrimmage, which 5 he's going to blitz, and Joe would just figure it out. He'd see it beforehand. He'd see the weakness in the coverage in the secondary. And let's face it, I want to acknowledge the fact that the Baltimore Ravens are crippled. I mean, they're secondary. They're down 2 Pro Bowlers. They're beaten up. They got 17 guys in injured reserve, and multiple guys in injured reserve are Pro Bowl players. This isn't the Baltimore Ravens team the Bengals beat the first time they played the Ravens. But you can't feel sorry for them. It's the National Football League. You have to play with who you've got, and they did a good job of cobbling it together and making it as competitive as they could make it. I have all the respect in the world for John Harbaugh and his coaching staff and the Baltimore Ravens organization, but the Cincinnati Bengals took care of business. They did what they had to do today. There's no question about it.
Yeah, and I want to add before we get too far into this, give away a Dave Lapham signed jersey. They're in the live stream, so stay tuned till the end. And as Brandon already posted, it's hashtag Bengals and the number 1, just like Brandon just posted as we put up there on the screen. And someone will be the lucky winner of a signed Dave Lapham jersey.
How about the fact that they're 9-6 right now, in control of their destiny? Pittsburgh's getting stomped as we speak by the Kansas City Chiefs, Dave, and it's getting ugly.
Yeah, it was ugly at halftime there. It was, you sit there and you look at the AFC North, and the Bengals sitting at 9-6, and it looks like the Steelers are going to be 7-7, and before when it's said and done, and the Ravens 8-7, and the Browns 7-6, and it's still, the next 2 games are still important. It's not, it's not going to be easy against KC as everyone's watching probably. And then the Browns in Cleveland. Yeah. The Bengals got to go up there and do their business.
I've been on both sides of it with the Cleveland Browns. I've been in a situation where we're trying to get in the playoffs and playing the Cleveland Browns to trying to get there. And we've tried to knock the Cleveland Browns out of the playoffs. And they're both equally rewarding. When you knock a team out of the playoffs, you end your season on an up note, you feel pretty good about it. And if you can't qualify for the playoffs in that last game, you feel terrible. You go into the offseason feeling terrible, even though you had a great season. So no matter what, that game on the lake up there in Cleveland against the Browns is going to be a triple slobber knocker, man. That's going to be tough. You got a slobber knock on offense, defense, and special teams. We're talking a 3-pronged slobber knocker. How about these numbers for Joe Burrow? In the second quarter, Joe Burrow was 10 for 11 for 199 yards and 3 touchdowns. What? In one quarter. Obviously, he had a perfect quarterback rating. In the first half, 18 for 21, 299 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions in the first half. He had 416 yards passing in 3 quarters in Baltimore. And didn't complete a pass in the fourth quarter. They just took him out early in the fourth quarter. So in 5 quarters of play, Joe Burrow had like 715 yards passing and 6 touchdowns and 1 interception. In 5 quarters of play. Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous. And then spreading it around like he's done. Higgins, 12 catches, 194 yards. Would have loved to seen him go for 200. Chase goes for 200 in the first matchup, and Higgins goes for 194 in the second matchup. Take away one, you get the other. Chase had 7 catches for 125. He's feasting on the Ravens. Tyler Boyd, 3 catches, 85 yards. Man, he had that 68-yard touchdown, a thing of beauty. He caught one for 68. Joe Mixon caught one for 52. He ends up with 70 yards receiving. Tee Higgins caught one for 52. In the first game, the Bengals had 9 explosive plays of 25 yards or more. 82-yard touchdown reception by Chase. 55-yard touchdown reception by C.J. Uzomah. 46-yard touchdown run by Pirine. They did the same thing in this game. 3 explosive plays of 50 yards or more. 2 different receivers have 52-yard catches, and then Boyd has a 68-yard touchdown catch. Unbelievable that they can do that to that Baltimore Ravens defense that's so well put together by Don Wink Martindale. So here's a couple of little trivia things, though, about Josh Johnson, who made himself some money. He had a good football game. He went 28 for 40, 304 yards, 2 touchdowns, and interception, quarterback rating of 98 himself. The only quarterback to throw passes against the Cincinnati Bengals for 2 different teams in the same season. He played for the Jets in the game against the Bengals. And this guy played for both Harbaughs. He played at University of San Diego when Jim Harbaugh was the head coach. Now he's playing for John Harbaugh in the National Football League. Josh Johnson has started for both Harbaugh brothers. A couple little trivia things about Josh Johnson. He played well. He did a good job.
It brings, your opinion, this defense. Patrick here says he feels that the defense laid an egg today. And he hopes they show up next week against Kansas City, because we know that's not going to be an easy task with Mahomes and company there, and they'll probably have Kelsey back by then. So your opinion, on the defense, how they played today.
I think that they could have played better. There's no question about it. You look at some of the numbers, statistics on the Bengals defense on the day. They gave up 7.2 yards per completion. Joe Burrow, 10.2 yards per pass attempt, I should say, not per completion, 7.2 yards per pass attempt, 10.2 yards per pass attempt. A first down every time he tried to throw the football, never mind completing it. Every time he went back to pass, it was worth a first down for the Bengals. The Bengals gave up 334 yards, almost 6 yards of play on 57 snaps. The Bengals ran 13 more snaps than the Ravens did. Yeah, they could have played better. There's no doubt about it. In the red zone, Ravens get down there 3 times, scored 3 touchdowns on the Bengals defense in the red zone. They've played better red zone defense than that. So you're right. Mahomes and that explosive Kansas City Chiefs offense is going to be a real challenge. Honestly, though, they weren't really sure what the Ravens were going to do with Josh Johnson at the quarterback position. He's only been with the team for 10 days. So they didn't know. I give Coach Roman, Greg Roman, a lot of credit. He ran a different style of offense. They did some of the things the same, but it was different as such. A lot of short, intermediate passing. The ball was out of Josh Johnson's hands very quickly. They put together a good game plan. All their run package, their quarterback run package. They didn't have their 311-pound fullback, Ricard. He wasn't playing. They had components that they were missing in this football game. There's no question. And they went down the football field and scored right away. They took a 7-3 lead. The Bengals don't score a touchdown in the red zone. They go 3-zip, down the field. Come the Ravens and take a 7-3 lead. And Josh Johnson was tearing them apart a little bit. They went to the sideline, got on the grease board, made some adjustments. They played better, but they've had better football games, and they'll have to play better than they did today against the Kansas City Chiefs. But when your offense is scoring on 7 straight possessions, this football team, 7 straight possessions, first possession, field goal, 1, 2, 3, 4 straight touchdowns, another field goal, another touchdown before they missed a 50-yard field goal. That's getting it done. When your offense is playing like that, it takes a lot of pressure off your defense, and it makes the Ravens, they had to basically junk their running game. They had to throw the football, try to stay in the football game. It's going to, everything's always complimentary football. And with Patrick Mahomes, the Bengals offense is going to have to respond and answer, because defensively, you're not going to shut Patrick Mahomes out. You're not going to shut him down. 2 things that the Bengals did very well in this football game, though. They didn't punt. Kevin Huber punted as many times as Dave and I did.
He was over there practicing his golf swing. I guarantee you.
I'm telling you, the only way he got his letter today is as a holder. He was holding on the extra points and field goals. That was it. Never punted, no turnovers. So now the Cincinnati Bengals, 9 wins, 5 giveaways, 6 losses, 16 giveaways. And in this football game, in this matchup with the Ravens, now the Bengals are 15-3 when they win the turnover battle, 3-20 when they lose it, 7-4 when it's even, 15-3 because they were +1 in the turnover ratio today. It's all about ball security, high and tight, protect the football. Man, don't put the ball in jeopardy. Basically make the other team beat you. Don't do anything to self-destruct. And that's what they're going to have to do down the stretch. You can't give Patrick Mahomes extra possessions. You can't. Can't do it. That Chiefs defense takes the football away. They're a big takeaway team. So it's going to be very interesting, Dave.
Yeah. Jim Harden has a great comment. The O-line played unbelievable today. Frank Pollock has made all the difference. And we had Frank on our previous In the Trenches podcast, and, can't say enough about the job he's done this year.
He's done a great job. And honestly, I mean, let's take a look at the right tackle position today as an example. Last week, you had to start at the right tackle position. The Bengals had an injury to Riley Reef. So Fred Johnson had to start because Isaiah Prince was sick all week, the week before this. Just the reverse happened this week. Fred Johnson was sick all week. He couldn't go. So Isaiah Prince had to go at right tackle. So Akeem Adeniji struggled a little bit at the end of the football game. He got taken out. Frank Pollock doesn't have much patience for multiple mistakes, and multiple mistakes were made. The Bengals only gave up 1 sack when the game was on the line. Down the stretch, they ended up having trouble identifying some of the pressure packages. They had a free runner a couple of times at Joe Burrow, and Adeniji got beaten pretty quickly on a quarterback sack. That caused him to depart the football game in 3 plays later, I think it was. But Joe Burrow, I talked to Joe after the game in the locker room. He was effusive in his praise of the offensive line. And Joe, how about Houdini? How does he escape some of these guys, some of the pressure? And like I said earlier, I knew Joe Burrow last week against Denver when he did that pop slide, when he scrambled for a first down and did the pop-up slide. I'm like, Joe's not worried about that knee anymore. You have to do that? You kidding me?
No.
And now he's still, I mean, he's a whirling dervish there. Don't underestimate Joe Burrow's ability to make you miss in short spaces. That dude, you could be it for a while if you're playing tag in a phone booth. He can make you miss for a while. He's got some change of direction.
Always has, all the way back to high school when he was at Athens High School. And, Rowan brings a comment. He says, isn't this like the 4th most passing yards in a game by a quarterback?
It could be, because I know Sims was up there. I know Sims has thrown for over 500 yards. I think it might be in the all-time, top 5 in the history of the position. It's remarkable. And you look at it, he did it twice to the Ravens. 416 yards in that 41-17 win in Baltimore in 3 quarters. He didn't even complete a pass, gain a yard in the 4th quarter. 416 yards in 3 quarters. And then he goes for 525 in this football game. Pretty remarkable.
Yeah, as the knee continues as we go each week, you're going to see that more and more, I think, of what you saw today. Because that's the Joe Burrow, like I said, I saw when he played in high school, when I evaluated him in high school, and that's the player people saw when he played at LSU.
Yeah, I mean, he's the thing about him is you could see him just coming up to the line of scrimmage like a computer and looking at what Wink Martindale was doing, and he was trying to disguise pressures and disguise coverage, and Joe just read it out. I mean, he was totally confident. On the 68-yard touchdown to Tyler Boyd, he knew exactly what was going to happen before the snap of the football. He knew the safety was going to roll over to Chase, and he knew that he was going to have Tyler Boyd on a linebacker. Tyler Boyd on a linebacker? They had 5 backers across like a picket fence across the football field. Tyler Boyd a little out and up, double move, over. And Joe knew as soon as he took the snap, he knew exactly what he was doing, where he was going with the football, how he was going with the football. And I had the privilege of doing a radio show for an hour with Joe's dad, Jimmy, in Athens earlier this week. And Jimmy talked about how he and Joe would have these long conversations about defense because Jimmy Burrow is a brilliant defensive mind. Joe Burrow not only knows his offense, he could install a defense. I mean, he knows what defenses are trying to do to take away his offense. This guy is a football savant. I'm telling you, he has got a football IQ that is unbelievably extraordinary, and he sees it clearly and he sees it fast.
Yeah, as I said, Dave, back in high school, when I go evaluate high school quarterbacks, very rarely you find a young man doing progressions at the high school level. He's usually going 1 to 2, and Joe could progress multiple receivers all the way back when he was in high school. So I mean, it's what he's done is just continue to grow in that game. And as you said with Jimmy,
it seems like every coaching staff that this kid's ever been with, high school, they did it at LSU, and they're doing it here with the Bengals.
Yep.
They're giving him the keys to the car. They're saying, Joe, we trust. We believe in what you see. You have free reign at the line of scrimmage. You have free reign in the huddle. You have free reign at the line of scrimmage. Check to whatever you need to check to. I mean, here's the keys to the car. And very rarely does a quarterback get it this early in his professional career, really.
Do you have to go back to Ken Anderson and Boomer? The last time the Bengals had a quarterback they really could do that with?
Oh, I don't know. I think Andy Dalton, smart as a whip. He was. Andy Dalton. John Kitna, who's now coaching in the NFL, smart as a whip. Very, very intelligent. With the overall package, yeah. I mean, the overall package, you probably have to go back to those guys. I don't know. I mean, Carson Palmer had great physical talent. I don't think he's quite where Joe is, particularly early in Joe's career, as early in Joe's career as he is. That's the thing is, I mean, he's just now starting into the second year of his career. He didn't even play 10 full football games. I mean, he hasn't even played. He's played basically a season and a half of NFL football right now. It's incredible. It really
Zachary Boone basically asked, at this stage in career, who was better, Lap, Palmer or Burrow?
Well, I mean, I think Palmer's arm talent was extraordinary. I've seen very few quarterbacks, when the ball came out of his hand, it was different. It sounded different. It looked different. It was different. He's got as much arm talent as any quarterback I've ever seen throw the football. But I'm telling you, there's more to quarterbacking than just throwing the football. From the neck up, Joe Burrow is as good as I've seen, period. I don't care who you talk about. I mean, this kid, and I think there are quarterbacks around the league that have played a long time. Aaron Rodgers marveled at the intelligence factor of Joe Burrow when he studied him. I mean, you've got guys that have played a long time that are going to be wearing gold jackets. How about Don Wink Martindale earlier in the week saying, when he was asked about Chase and Burrow, and he said, Jamar Chase, you can't compare those two to the talent that the Green Bay Packers have. I mean, they're number one receiver. He's number one in the NFL. He's one of the top two guys, and he ain't number two. So at least one. He's number one. Devontae Adams, number 17. He said Brett Favre is going to be wearing a gold jacket. He goes, I can't say that Joe Burrow right yet is going to be wearing a gold jacket. Well, after this performance, Wink, I'm inviting you to Cincinnati to start the measurements because, the right arm's golden and the head's golden, the brain's golden. Maybe you can start measuring for that jacket because he keeps playing like this. I mean, all he's done is lit you up in 2 football games for 900 yards plus. Whew. Come on, man. 7 touchdowns, 1 interception. Should have been 8. I mean, that was an unbelievable play that was taken away, but just a great throw and a great catch. Unbelievable.
Cecil says, hey guys, how you doing? We're doing great, Dave. I mean,
oh yeah.
How can play Christmas? We gave away $3,000 here the other week.
Yeah.
To somebody.
One happy lady.
So I mean,
you got to look. That's a feel good thing at Christmas time.
Yeah.
To make her Christmas better like that.
We had some kids here at First Star Logistics earlier in the week.
Yep.
And a lot of people are viewing the podcast, the video cast on YouTube channel. And so, I mean, we're doing great. And again, we want to remind people, #Bengals with the number 1. Put that in the comments, like the stream. And that puts you in the chance to where we're going to do a drawing here at the very end for a signed Dave Lapham jersey. So make sure you do that. So Joe's cooking. We don't disagree.
He is cooking. I'm telling you. I know down in Louisiana, it was gumbo. Up here, he's cooking some chili. I'm telling you, Joe's cooking that chili, man. He had a big pot of gumbo he was cooking down in Louisiana. Up here in Cincinnati, he's cooking up the chili.
I had the Positive Universe Project, David G. I had the same thoughts. How bad is, Jermaine Pratt's done a great job coming in. This team misses Logan Wilson.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, that shoulder was badly dislocated. He avoided surgery, but is he going to be able to play? I think they didn't put him on injury reserve because they were hopeful that he'd come back before the end of the season, particularly if they qualified for the playoffs. But it's still a week-to-week thing. I don't know if it's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs game or not. I'm hopeful that it will be, but if it's not the Chiefs, then I'm doubly hopeful. I'm crossing everything. He's on the football field against the Cleveland Browns because, Logan Wilson, I mean, he still leads all linebackers with 4 interceptions, and he had that in 5 games. I mean, he had the 2 interception game against Ben Roethlisberger and the Pittsburgh Steelers, early in the season. So up there in Pittsburgh, so he's definitely a factor. But I thought that honestly, at the linebacker position, I mean, here's some of the folks that had to get involved. DJ Reader, who I think, you talk about a guy that was snubbed. DJ Reader to get no mention as even a 5th alternate as a defensive tackle for the Cincinnati Bengals Pro Bowl. Come on, man. This guy controls the inside of the line of scrimmage for the Bengals in the running game. But DJ couldn't go. So Tupou, BJ Hill had a big play on 4th down. Mike Daniels came off the practice squad. Not many teams have a 10-year veteran on the practice squad that they can bring up to play defensive tackle. He had fresh legs, and he had legs like Secretariat. He didn't have any wear and tear going on those legs. And then at the linebacker position, you had Calitro, you had Clay Johnston. These guys had to step up. Keandre Jones, these guys all had to step up. Marcus Bailey had himself a good football game. Marcus Bailey had eight tackles. So these guys are with the football team for a reason. But man, if we're crying because of injuries to Logan Wilson, how do you think the Baltimore Ravens feel? There are 2 Pro Bowl cornerbacks. Neither one of them playing today. Humphreys and Peters. Neither one. I mean, honestly, every single route that the Bengals wide receivers ran, when they sunk their hips to get in and out of the cut, they got separation every single time. And Joe Burrow was putting it on them. I mean, it was like varsity playing against JV. And, one of the keys to the game I talked about in the radio was because of what's going on in the back end with the injuries for the Ravens, every phase of the passing game had to play great. The offensive line gave good protection. Joe Burrow was extraordinary. His wide receivers, every one of them almost had 100 yards receiving. One almost had 200. Joe Mixon, by the way, talk about balance, talk about scrimmage yards. He rushed for a touchdown and caught a touchdown pass. He rushed for 65 yards, and he caught the ball for 70. 135 scrimmage yards on 24 touches and 2 touchdowns. So you incorporate him with the productivity of the wide receivers, C.J. Uzomah doing his thing. This football team, if the offensive line steps up and gives it time to operate, this thing is a well-oiled machine. I'm telling you, you can't stop everybody. There's not enough. I mean, they tried one time. The Bengals had 12 men in the field too, but they ran a Canadian snap. Bengals had 12 in the field, and the Ravens did. It was an offset play, and had to bring it back to the United States. No Canadian football, Dave.
No. Ken Hammock says it was 30 yards short of the all-time record. So,
boy. And
then I've got to add.
If that touchdown catch stood,
oh yeah,
it could have been the all-time record right there.
I got to add, First Star Logistics always brings it. You know that.
Yes, all the time.
We're going to add a $50 Bengals Pro Shop gift card to this giveaway. And if we get 120 likes on the live stream, so on YouTube, you go up and hit the like. If we get 120 likes, we'll raise it to $100.
Double down. Man, it's like Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow was doubling down every throw today, man. He was.
I think let me double check this because I may have read this tweet wrong, the text message wrong. So, no, $50 Bengals Pro Shop gift card. 120 likes. That's what it was.
120 likes. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
50 total. I'm sorry. My bad. I'm reading 4 screens. I got 4 screens going here.
You're a magician. So, you're like Burrow. Burrow can escape the pressure. You're like a juggler, Dave. You can handle it. You can handle all those balls in the air, man.
We got a lot of again, hashtag Bengals with the number 1. Let's get the entries up. A lot of people, a Dave Lapham signed jersey plus if we get 120 likes, a $50 Bengals Pro Shop gift card. So let's get the likes up as well. A Wall thinks Joe Burrow stepped up his scramble game because of the O-line struggles. I
thought they played pretty well, honestly. I thought
overall,
the O-line, overall, I mean, you throw the ball as much as they ended up throwing it because it was attractive to throw the football. They threw it 46 times, only ran it 21. They ran 21 times, 77 yards. This Baltimore Raven defense is number 1 in the National Football League stopping the run. Number 1. So they run the football. They're 3rd best in the NFL running it. They average over 144 yards a game, almost 145. They only got 39 today. They only ran it 16 times because you can do 2 things to make a team have problems. If you're a defensive lineman and you want to rush the passer, you have to stop the run to rush the passer, to get the right to rush the passer, or take a big lead. The Bengals did both, and it kind of complemented each other. When the Bengals took the big lead they took, Hendrickson and everybody's coming off the edge. How about Hendrickson, by the way? Gets another sack. Hendrickson he's amongst greatness in the National Football League. He now has at least a half a sack in 11 straight games. And he's got a quarterback sack, or at least a half a sack, in 13 of his last 15 games. He's tied for second most in the NFL with that 11 straight games. Guys like Sean Ellis, Jared Allen, Jones. If he has another game where he gets at least a half a sack, he ties the freak, Javon Curse. Javon Curse has the NFL record for at least a half a sack in 12 straight games. Trey Hendrickson against the Kansas City Chiefs, and Mahomes is going to be tough. He's going to be tough to pin down and sack. They throw it a lot. If Hendrickson gets a sack, wow, that's some NFL royalty right there. But so they earned the right to rush the passer because the Bengals took the big lead again, and they had to throw the football. This football team, they do not want to run. They do not want to have this kind of a disparity. 16 rushes, 40 pass attempts. That is not Baltimore Raven football. But they were stuck because the Bengals offense scored on 7 straight possessions. 7 straight possessions. Every time the Bengals got the ball, the Ravens are falling further and further behind. You have to throw the football then. You got no choice.
There was a point where early in the game, I'm sitting there and I watched the formation come out and I'm going, oh, we're going to run again. Well, no. It's like, this is a repeat. This is a repeat. And Rowan even put up here, the pass game is working. Don't stop. And today, the pass game was working.
Oh, yeah. And really on one of the red zone situations, the Bengals came out in 3 tight ends, threw the football. They came out in 3 wides, ran the football. So they were trying to be contrarian. They were trying to stack the Ravens in the box, and with the 3 tight ends, end up throwing the football, try to get a little play action going. And then they spread the field with 3 wide receivers, tried to hammer it up there in the running game. They were trying to stay, a little bit contrarian and diverse in their play selection and in their game plan for sure.
I don't know if you have in your notes, someone saying the Positive Universal Project, David G says, don't forget we had another franchise record set today with Trey Hendrickson's sack, new Bengals record of 14.
Right. Well,
yes and no.
Yeah. I mean, it broke. Well, since
modern day,
1982 is when they started tracking sacks, and the 14 breaks Carlos Dunlap's record of 13.5. But my man Coy Bacon had 22 back in the 70s. 22. He had a 5-sack game. In today's NFL, you don't have 5-sack games. They don't let a guy have 5 sacks. They're going to slide the line. They're going to chip. they're going to keep a tight end in there. I mean, Coy Bacon, literally, the guy that he had 5 sacks against, they cut him on the spot and didn't even let him travel home with the team. He had to find his own way home from Cincinnati. He got waived. We're like, what's up? I just got cut. They're like, they didn't even take you home. No, that's back in the day. That's the way it was. But Coy Bacon, and I love Trey Hendrickson. Trey Hendrickson's a great passer. Coy Bacon was
a beast.
Unbelievable. This guy, big, thick, wiggle, moves. I mean, he was just such a natural pass rusher, man. And he had a body lean that was always advancing to the quarterback. He was special. I mean, he would drive guys crazy in one-on-one pass protection drills trying to pass block Coy Bacon. He was unreal, unbelievable.
How was the atmosphere today? Greg says it was a great day to be at PBS.
It was loud and proud. The crowd was in full throat. And man, I'll tell you what, let's get on this right away. Let's sell it out. The Chiefs have a huge advantage at Arrowhead Stadium. When any team flies home from Arrowhead Stadium, it's always like, man, not only do the Chiefs have a great football team, that crowd, I remember playing at Arrowhead. Couldn't hear a thing. Couldn't hear yourself think. That's what I want Paul Brown Stadium to be, like when Baltimore flies home after this football. Man, that crowd, it's tough. Tough for the offense to communicate. We couldn't hear a thing. We had to go silent count. We couldn't even use a snap count. We had to use a silent snap count, not verbal. I want the Kansas City Chiefs to think the same thing, because I do know when teams leave Arrowhead and fly back to their respective cities, it's always, wow, that crowd is off the hook. That crowd's unbelievable.
Again, we want to remind people, hashtag Bengals1, put it in the comments of the live stream, hit the like button, a signed Dave Lapham jersey we're going to give away at the end of the live stream. And if we get 120 some likes, I think it was 120 likes, it's a $50 Bengals Pro Shop gift card as well.
I see Alan's comment. Lap is loving calling these games. Right on, baby. It's fun. I mean, it's always fun.
Hit the like for Lap. That's right.
These Victory Mondays they're so much easier for everybody. After a football game like this, when you go to work tomorrow, it's like if you're a salesman and you don't close a sale for 2 weeks, your life sucks. Your life sucks.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a football player and you're getting ready to play at the highest level and you lose 2 weeks in a row, all that work you've put in preparing to play that team and it doesn't work out right, you lose 2 in a row, it's terrible. It's just like all the work that you did to get ready to go and make your cold calls and make a new sale and all, and you get shut out, man. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. You got to keep working though, and you gotta bust through. You got to get in the win column. It's just like everyday life.
Make sure when you're typing this in, do not put any spaces. It's hashtag Bengals with the number 1, no spacing, because it doesn't go into the system if it has a spacing in it. Just want to remind people.
I guess Zach in the post talked to him in the locker room, and I know he had a post-game presser. He said, have that killer mentality. You got to have that attitude. You do. And I guess some people are thinking that Harbaugh and Zach had a little talk at the end of the game where Harbaugh wasn't happy, thought Zach might have been not running it up on him, but rubbing it in maybe a little bit or whatever. I mean, 3rd and 18, you got to get the first down, and then he sat on it. He sat on the football. I don't think that Zach Taylor was trying to embarrass Harbaugh and the Baltimore Ravens at all during the course of this football game. The Ravens were scoring. I mean, the Bengals scored their 41st point 10 minutes to go in the football game. It's 10 minutes to go. They didn't put any more points on the board. They weren't running anything up. I find that one a little bit difficult. Now, when they did complete that 3rd and 18, I'm like, they're not throwing it anymore. I mean, they're shutting it down now. They might run the football a couple of times, and if the Ravens are good enough to stop it, which they have been all season long, not going to score any more points. They ran it once and then took a knee and melted the rest of the clock and killed the game. So,
but as Bengals fans, Zachary Boone posted, this goes back to Lewis laying out Chad Johnson. So, you know what? So be it.
This goes back to what?
Ray Lewis laying out Chad Johnson long time ago.
Yeah, that had nothing to do with this.
But for Bengals fans,
yeah, that had,
This is a great day.
oh yeah. I mean, that football team, that Baltimore Ravens football team that won the Super Bowl, defensively, Marvin Lewis talks many times about that football team, that defensive football team that he was a coach with. And man, I'll tell you what, you talk about a great football team in terms of personnel and schematic to complement the personnel. That Baltimore Raven defensive football team was extraordinary. Big time. They were big.
Let's see here.
So we're going to have some. I just saw a guy saying he and his son are going to go to the jungle.
Yeah, from Sandusky, Ohio.
I'm hoping we have first timers, long timers. I mean, it's starting to get it's starting to become a factor, and I think this team deserves that kind of support that you guys are giving them. There's no doubt. I mean, they've earned it, and I admire you guys giving it to them because it helps. Believe me, it helps big time, and you can't make it easy for the opposition. The most surprising thing in the world is when you are on the road and you go out and you take a lead on a football team and it's quiet. You know, it's like a church service out there on Sunday instead of a football game at a stadium, you know, because the fans are so surprised and shocked and all that. But everybody's human, you know, human reactions, human nature. Man, I'm telling you now, particularly in the red zone. And it's like, oh man, you got a false start. Because you know you couldn't hear, and you're trying to get off on the football, and you think you hear something, and I mean all that stuff. You know, pre-snap penalties with crowd noise are monstrous. And then if you have an edge rusher like Trey Hendrickson, and I'm an offensive tackle, and I got to look in at the football just like Trey Hendrickson. My only advantage is knowing the snap count, but I can't hear the quarterback at the snap count. So my only advantage is nullified. Hendrickson's looking at the football. I'm looking at the football. He's a quicker athlete than me, and he's going forward, and I'm retreating. Who do you think has the advantage? Big time. That defensive lineman's getting off the line of scrimmage like that. The only way you can nullify it is be able to hear the snap count and move before the football moves and get a little edge. When you lose that edge, you are in trouble with a capital T. There's no question.
We had a couple comments. Dave, does Burrow remind you of a young Brady or Manning?
Yes, I think he falls into that category because – you know, I mean, you look at Brady and Manning. I think Joe Burrow has much more athleticism than Brady and Manning. Brady and Manning are phone booth quarterbacks. They're pocket guys. Those guys, they don't get out of pocket. Joe Burrow can get out of pocket. They have such a good package going with Joe Burrow. They've got the tight end or receiver going in motion. Sometimes he'll block, and Joe Burrow will roll out to that direction. Half roll, throwback pass. Sometimes he'll block, it'll be a naked bootleg. All the run action with that block takes place naked. He'll roll to that side, throw it back. Naked bootleg, all the action's going that way. Linebackers, safeties, he'll naked and throw it back. Unbelievable. Or the receiver or tight end will run by him, and Joe will continue to roll out, and he'll throw it to him in the flat. They've got multiple things going off of one look. And it's all tied in. Plus, they run the ball off of it. So they can do, if I'm a linebacker or a safety, and I see that jet sweep stuff, and is he going to trap? Is he going to run by him? Is it a run? Is it a pass? Man, what are my eyes telling me to do? My eyes and my brain are telling me different things. What do I do? All you're looking for is that half a beat advantage, or get the linebacker to step toward the line of scrimmage instead of fall back into coverage, and you got them beaten. I'm telling you, the Bengals have a very, very good creative package that is well schemed, and it's married together. Their run game, their play action game off the run game, their formations, what they do out of their formations, it's all put together extremely well. And Joe Burrow and his skill players are on the same page executing it right now, big time.
Again, we want to remind people, put in the comments, #Bengals with the number 1, no spacing. We've got about 45 entries. We've had a lot more people on the stream. Also like the stream because if we get over 120, it goes to we also add a $50 Bengal gift shop card to that. And I agree with this next comment. Alan M. BJ Hill play was perfect.
It was.
I remember the day they traded for him. We were in the studio recording when that trade went down for Billy Price. That's been a great trade by Tobin to get a guy like BJ Hill.
I'm telling you, BJ Hill, you know, what's amazing to me is DJ Reader shutout in terms of not even getting a fourth, fifth alternate to the Pro Bowl. Come on, man. And you know what it tells me? It's all about sack numbers. And Hendrickson's got ridiculous sack numbers, and he made the Pro Bowl. He's on the Pro Bowl roster. Hubbard's got 7.5 sacks. Hendrickson has 14 now. Hubbard has 7.5. Ogunjobi has 7. He got fourth alternate, 7 sacks. The reason that Reader, he's got 2. That's the reason he didn't get any mention. Come on, man. That's not his job. His job is to eat up offensive linemen. His job is to keep linebackers clean. His job is to do all the blue-collar dirty work, and he's doing it better than anybody. For him not to even get any recognition for that is an atrocity. It really is. Hill, 5.5 sacks. And he had the big tackle for loss on 4th down. The dude inverts the line of scrimmage. I'm telling you, they've got defensive linemen. Ogunjobi, Reader can when they put him in a gap. Hill can. They can all penetrate and disrupt, invert the line of scrimmage the wrong direction. I'm telling you, they've got the DJ Reader not playing today. I'm sure it crushed him.
He was tweeting all throughout the game.
Yeah.
I mean, he even said how thankful he was that he lived close enough that he could hear the crowd noise.
Yeah.
So he was, you know how it is. If you can't go, you're just, especially knowing that you have to separate yourself.
Well, and the thing is, it was an injury. He tested positive for, so how bad is that? If you're injured, you're feeling, badly anyway you feel like you're a leper almost when you're injured because you can't do the things the rest of the team can do and everything. And this COVID stuff, I mean, this is crazy. This is unbelievable. I called this the National Football League right now. It is COVID Darwinism. COVID Darwinism bowl game was what went on today. So Darwinism, survival of the fittest. Who's going to be able to handle this COVID stuff the best? I mean, the National Football League basically has said, we're not going to test anymore, but we're going to increase the protocols to the maximum. So we don't really want to know necessarily who's positive and who's not, but we're going to cover our own butts by having protocols at the maximum. I mean, there may be 50% of every roster in the National Football League may be positive for this strain of the COVID that's going on right now. It's unbelievably contagious. It doesn't have serious symptoms. A lot of guys don't have any, they're asymptomatic. So bottom line is players that don't feel sick are not getting tested. They don't want to know. And honestly, the league's playing peekaboo. They don't want to really know either. So it's going to be interesting how this goes down the stretch, and particularly in the playoffs. What are the protocols going to be like? What are the protocols going to be like for the playoffs? I mean, you can't say that, okay, well, you qualified for the playoffs. You worked it all season long for this. Now, because you have 15, 18, 20 players that have tested positive for COVID, you're going to have to take 10 players off your practice squad to go play this playoff game? What? What about competitive balance? What about fan interest? Fans don't want to watch that crap on TV. They want to watch the teams that qualified for the playoffs with the players that qualified. They don't want to watch guys that came off practice squads or whatever, trying to fill rosters just to get the games played and collect the checks. It's going to be very interesting to see how this whole thing shakes down. Very interesting.
Alan, I agree. I'm a big Marcus Bailey fan. Have been since he played in high school. Thought he was one of the most underrated prospects coming out of Hilliard Davidson High School in the Columbus area.
He's
went
athletic.
On to Purdue.
He's athletic.
And he's getting healthy. I really feel he's starting to show what I saw in high school, college career, and he's gotten healthy now over coming off that knee injury from his last year at Purdue.
Yep. And, he does. They like him. They do like his athleticism. In today's National Football League, you have to be athletic. There's no more 255-pound downhill nubbers, run stuffer type guys. You have to be able to move in this National Football League because these quarterbacks are just unbelievable on their own. I mean, the thing that I thought would take place, and it didn't really happen all that much. It went according to what I thought might unfold during the course of the game. They did not have Josh Allen doing 11 on 11 running the football like Lamar Jackson. Because what if he got hurt? You can't expose him to that kind of injury. He tried. I said during the game, I said, I think it might turn into an RPO type thing, run pass option. But I don't think it's going to be quarterback run game where 11 on 11, because, you know, you're basically increasing the percentages of him getting injured. But he did try RPO a couple of times, and the Bengals were right there. Sam Hubbard made a great play on an RPO that Johnson tried. Sam Hubbard, discipline, tackle for loss. I mean, they only had one quarterback sack, Hendrickson, but they had multiple tackle for losses in the running game. Hubbard had one on an RPO. Hill had one on the fourth down that we talked about. And the Ravens were unbelievable on fourth down going into the football game. Harbaugh's as aggressive as anybody in the NFL. They were 14 for 21 on fourth down. 2/3 of the time they converted, 66.7%. That was second best in the National Football League. And the Bengals, they did a good job. They had the big fourth down stop there, and that was a major turning point in the football game because that was like another takeaway. The Ravens were 0 for 1 stopping the Bengals. The Bengals stopped the Ravens twice on fourth down. They not only had a takeaway, they had 2 fourth down stops. Or no, I'm sorry, they had 1 fourth down stop. The Bengals were 2 for 2 on their fourth down conversions. So they had 2 takeaways. They had the interception by Bell, and they had the fourth down stop, just like a takeaway. And that was big. B.J. Hill, I mean, I don't know. That play is when the possession does not end in a kick, a punt, extra point or field goal, in my mind, that's a turnover. B.J. Hill forced a turnover, just like Bell did.
Rowan asked the question, and we always talk about a team's growth in time. Do you feel the Bengals are mentally ready for a playoff game yet?
I do think that they're young, but I do think that during the course of this season, they've had the highs and lows, the ups and downs. I mean, when you look at this season, in their opener, they beat the Vikings in overtime. Could have and should have lost it potentially. Vikings have the ball, driving for a game-winning field goal. They turn it over. The Vikings are saying, man, if we won that opener against the Bengals win the football game because of the takeaway. They go to Chicago, pick sixes, give the ball away, give the game away, 20-17 at Chicago. Should have never lost that game at Chicago. But you learn from it. Pittsburgh beat them 24-10. Jacksonville, they're down 14 points at the half against the Jaguars. They have to do everything they can, beat them 24-21. They lose overtime to the Green Bay Packers. So this is what I'm talking about. I mean, there's ups and downs, peaks and valleys. You learn from your mistakes, move on. They smoke Baltimore. They lose to the Jets, 34-31. They smoke Detroit, smoke Baltimore, lose to the Jets. Then lose to Cleveland by a big score, 41-16. They beat Vegas. They beat Pittsburgh by 31. They lose by 19 to the Chargers. So this is what's going on. It's going on league-wide. 27 of the 32 teams were still eligible for the playoffs going into the action today. So, yeah, I think the Bengals are learning as they progress through the course of this football season. Last week, the Bengals offense just said, I'm not going to screw this up. I'm not going to turn the ball over. Defense won the game in Denver, 15-10 victory. Defense won that football game. The Bengals have gone 8+ quarters without a turnover. They didn't turn it over in Denver. They didn't turn it over in this football game. That's going to win you a lot of football games. Here's a stat that is, in my mind, case closed. 9 wins, they've turned it over 5 times. 6 losses, 16 times. 9 victories, 5 giveaways. Take care of the football, high and tight. Don't throw it into jeopardy. You're going to win football games. They've won 9 of them when they take care of the football.
Last chance, because we're going to get you home.
Okay.
You've had a long day.
Yes.
So last chance, you got 5 minutes to put in #Bengals1 in the comments of the YouTube stream and hit the like button to get those up as well, because I'm not sure where we are with the numbers on that. but they have a chance to win a Dave Lapham signed jersey. This is the last call, 5 minutes. Dave, I'll let you close it out while people do this, and then we'll have the drawing for the jersey.
All right. Well, I just wanted to do Jim Harden. Is that James Harden, the great basketball player? It's Jim Harden. Henderson, by far, is the best free agent acquisition this team's had in recent memory. I'm telling you, you can make that argument. Boy, they've had a few of them. I admire what they've done. The last 2 years, spent over $100 million in free agency in the last 2 seasons, and they rebuilt their defensive football team through free agency and the draft. And they've filled in a lot of holes offensively through the draft as well. They've done an outstanding job from a personnel standpoint in free agency, and they've had high draft picks, and unfortunately they paid a price to get those high draft picks. But you have to admit, they put the bat on the ball on a lot of these high draft picks, and going out there and complementing it with outstanding signings and acquisitions in free agency. There's no doubt. No question about it. So now it's time to put this to bed and move on to the Kansas City Chiefs. I'll tell you one thing about this football game that is a little bit interesting to me. The Kansas City Chiefs, as well as the as well as the Baltimore Ravens, have outstanding special teams. The Kansas City Chiefs are in the top 5 in just about every special teams category, just like the Baltimore Ravens were going into this football game. Special teams have to be special. Today, Bengals special teams were special. The Bengals won the average drive start. The Bengals had about a 5-yard advantage, I think it was. I can double check that.
Well, you're doing that. I'm being told we need like 2 more likes for that $50 Bengals Pro Shop gift card to be part of this giveaway. So people, doesn't cost you anything to hit like. Doesn't cost you anything to put hashtag Bengals1 in the comments either, to have a chance to also win a Dave Lapham signed jersey. And these are not cheap jerseys. These are actually stitched numeral and name on the jersey, and Dave will sign it.
There we go. So average drive start. Both had the ball for 9 possessions. The Bengals' average drive start was their 32-yard line. Baltimore's was their 26. That's 9 possessions times 6 yards is 54 hidden yards, half a football field that the Bengals had an advantage of. And a lot of that is due to special teams play. Going to have to do the same thing. If, in fact, if you have difficulty taking the football away from Patrick Mahomes, you have to continue to take care of the football like they have the last couple of games. Do not give Mahomes extra opportunities. But if you have difficulty taking it away from Mahomes, you got to at least put him on a long field. Don't let Patrick Mahomes get the ball on your side of the 50-yard line in a short field and negotiate for points. They've got a great kicker as well in Butker. I mean, this is a good football team. Put Mahomes on long fields, make him go multiple plays, increase the chance for a mistake potentially, and give Joe Burrow some short fields if you can. Special teams will play a part in that. 2 straight weeks, the Bengals are going to play an opponent that are in the top 10, and in some cases, the top 5. Kansas City's case, they're going into this game the number 1 punt coverage team in all of football. All 4 phases: punt return, kickoff return. And Darren Simmons has his guys ready, and I have full confidence and belief in the Cincinnati Bengals beating the Kansas City Chiefs in the special teams department like they did today against the Baltimore Ravens next week as well.
All right, Dave. I'm being told they got it. So we're going to add the $50 Bengals gift card to this giveaway.
Nice.
Along with the signed Dave Lapham jersey. I also put in the description of the stream what to do. There's Isaac Carpenter from First Star Logistics. His email's there for the winner to contact. So if you're, make sure you do that as well. So it's time to give this away. So let me change this screen around. We're going to add this to the stream, and we're going to see who won this. Great job by everybody tonight.
Yes, absolutely. We appreciate you guys, your interest in the Bengals, your interest in our podcast, videocast. It's a blessing to be able to bring you this type of information. We feel extremely fortunate. and it's the holiday season. We want to thank you for being part of what we're doing, and Happy New Year coming up as well. I know you enjoyed your Christmas. This is the day after Christmas, so everybody's in a little recovery mode. New Year's Eve, be safe, have fun.
Yeah.
Love you guys.
And we also want to close. The Bengals can have a winning season.
Yeah, can't not now. 9-6, 17 games. It's an odd number, not even odd number. Bengals' worst case scenario is 9-8, but you don't want to be 9-8 and cross your fingers for tiebreakers. Get one more win. Get one more win.
All right, here we go.
Next week.
Here's the draw.
Wow. Check it out. Boomstick. How about that? King Meat.
Fear Lanier.
Lanier. Is that related to Bob Lanier? Bullet Bob Lanier, man. That dude was one big man. He could score some points now. Big
Congrats to Fear_Lanier. And as I said, in the description for the live stream we put up is the contact information, and make sure that you follow those directions for Fear Lanier. And let me type this real quick, and we will get you home, Dave.
Yeah, there we go. Get ready for, man, we got a lot to do tomorrow. 3 hours of radio tomorrow night. Bengals Line on 700 WLW. We do want to thank everybody, though, and we'll catch up with you again next week after the Chiefs game. What do you think, Dave? Do it again?
Let's do it again.
We might as well. I'm superstitious. This worked out so well. We might as well do it again. Do what we can to help,
All righty, everybody. For Dave Lapham, Dave Berk, I appreciate everybody being part of this tonight. Look forward to what comes out on the channel this week. I'm sure we're going to have a lot of great stuff. So we'll see you the following week.
Yeah, we'll probably have both coordinators at some point in time again during the course of this week. And Kansas City Chiefs probably get somebody, hopefully, from their broadcast team to talk about the Chiefs and the big matchup with the Bengals. And who knows, maybe another surprise or two during the week. So stay tuned.
And we also want to thank First Star Logistics for everything they provide for us.
They're the best. They're the best. Studios. Can't beat it. Great people. The best.
Night, everybody.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realize self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.